What's going on YouTube? It's Woody and we are live here at my shipper and we're waiting for a door. Now there is all of those trailers are except for like one are trucks waiting to get loaded. So all these trucks are waiting to get loaded, plus that guy, plus two trucks there. And why won't this focus? What the heck? Focus, camera. Blurry crap. Damn it. Do I work for Carlisle? No, I work for RST and we haul Carlisle freight from time to time. But all these trucks are waiting to get loaded. Plus that one, plus that guy, plus two there, plus there's three more trucks behind me. This is literally the last place to park, and the train's making noise. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, do I work for Carlisle? No. I drive a Peterbilt now, you jelly? Nope, absolutely not. I'm not jealous of anybody else's equipment. A truck is a truck. If it makes you money, I'm happy for you. That's how I look at it. I like to make a lot of jokes on Instagram and Facebook, but at the end of the day, whatever makes you money, it's good. Good Lord. That's horrible. I apologize for the train doing stupid crap. Where the hell am I? Jesus. It's the train, man. Squeak! I'm live at the moment. Please stop sending me messages at this moment. But I will answer those messages here in a minute. When is the new driver coming? Hopefully next week. Where the hell am I? I am in Decatur, Alabama. Decatur, Alabama. So I wanted to talk about these ELD protests and other protests going on throughout the country right now. So but before I share my thoughts on it, I want to see what you guys think as far as who's representing truck drivers in the public eye and all this kind of stuff. So what's going on, my Sharona? What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Ray? What's going on, Tim? Thanks for watching today. What's going on, Milo? Jared, hey Woody, been sitting 15 miles from my receiver for the last 6 hours and my appointment isn't for another 4. I feel your pain. Yeah, man. What's going on, Shadow Wolf? I see Outlaw Trucker in here. That boy's so cool. I see all you guys. How's my day been? It's gone pretty good so far. Nothing too crazy. A little bit of traffic, and now we wait. Me personally, I don't think the ELD is the problem. I'm not really worried about the NFL protests. You know, everybody has the right to protest in any way they see fit as long as it's not violent. Once you start putting violence into the protest, it's no longer a protest. It is now anarchy and crime. It's a crime at that point. You don't have the right to violently attack anybody. So anyway, break out the spoon. 28. I don't know what that means. I must have missed something. When you're going to start conversation about abolishing the FMCSA. The FMCSA has a purpose. Despite, you know, me disagreeing with a lot of what they do, they actually do have a purpose. I think they're a little bit overreaching when it comes, or a lot overreaching when it comes to some of these regulations, but quite a few of the regulations that are in place actually make sense for business and to make sure that things are safe and work properly. You know, without the rule of law, good grief, man. Without the rule of law, you have anarchy, and we don't want anarchy in this business. We want order. We want things to work properly, safely, and effectively, so that we can make money and not kill people while we do it, right? So there are some things that the FMCSA does that I agree with. I hear some truckers agree with the protest and some don't. I agree with protesting. I do not agree with certain individuals who are railroading this thing, no pun intended, and trying to take the spotlight away from the main issue and creating all kinds of drama and just all kinds of craziness going on. So let me roll up my window here for a minute. This train is ridiculous. Show the train. It's going, man. It's right there. Anyway, Woody, how's it going? Callie in the building. What's going on, man? Like to see Woody, what comparison on trucking versus USA, Canada versus USA. Are truckers treated different in each country? I haven't noticed much difference as far as how we're treated, but I really like the hours of service regulations that Canada has. And Kevin Rutherford put out a post earlier talking about, why don't we just do the hard work and actually come together and focus on the key issues, which is the hours of service. Right now, the biggest issue in the industry is the hours of service. Not the ELD, not anything else. The hours of service. The ELD mandate was already passed into law. In order to repeal that is going to take a lot of time. And you have House Bill 3282, which is being reviewed right now. But it's going to take some time for that to go through. It's not going to happen between now and December. Congress doesn't have enough time to do all the research and delegate and all that crap for this bill. That bill may be passed next year. Okay? So what we need to focus on right now is reaching out to representatives and other officials, letting them know, hey, these hours of service are going to have to change. Now that you got everybody going on e-logs, the hours of service have to change. It's just the way it is. I've been running e-logs for a long time. I've ran paper, so I've done both, and I don't mind the e-log. Okay, I don't mind having the actual computer itself. The technology is good. It works good, etc., etc. As far as privacy and stuff like that, there's nothing to worry about there, really, in my opinion. The problem I have is with the hours of service. That's where the real problem lies with the ELD mandate. A lot of truckers disagree with the hours of service, and so they've been using paper logs in a way that allows them to ignore certain pieces of the hours of service and make it look like they're doing things legally on paper. That's why the ELD mandate was pushed through, because they're tired of people lying on their logbooks, and they can't prove that they're lying. So they can say, yeah, I run legally on paper. I worked for the state of Texas for a while, and I know how to pencil whip just as good as anybody else does. I don't like the fact that I ever had to pencil whip my paperwork working for the state of Texas, and it was one of the reasons why I quit that job. I don't like having to lie on my paperwork to do my job, period. That's why I like the e-log. It keeps me honest, and it makes it, morally speaking, I feel good about what I'm doing because I know I'm doing what I'm doing legally. Okay? Even if I disagree with the law, we still have rule of law in this country. And until the law changes, I'm going to run the way the law says I'm supposed to run. All right? Paper's more flexible because you can pencil whip it. All right? Yes, boycott driver-facing cameras. I agree with you. Driver-facing cameras are something I do not agree with as far as government regulation. The government needs to stay out of it. When it comes to driver-facing cameras, the government just needs to stay out of it. That should be up to the company to decide, and the insurance companies and the carriers to decide whether or not they want to have cameras in the trucks. Now, a forward-facing dash cam I'm 100% for. Cover your ass and have a dash cam. I don't have one in this truck yet, but in my other truck I do. Dash cams are great. They cover your ass when people try to slam on the brakes and stuff like that. But a driver-facing camera, in my opinion, can in some instances be considered a invasion of privacy. And me personally, I don't want a camera facing me while I'm driving. And I know many of you guys don't either. Why does government always put its nose in anything? Because I'll tell you why. And this is just my theory, but government agencies are like a virus in a sense that they find things to latch onto to validate their own existence. So if a government agency isn't doing something, if they're not trying to find new regulations, if they're not trying to find new things to regulate or to force on whatever industry it is, now they're irrelevant. So a lot of this pork and the bullshit laws that they come up with is simply to justify their own existence. It's not for safety. It's not for improving the environment. It's so they can get funding and validate their own existence. When it comes to a lot of these laws, we've got so many laws already. It's astounding to me that we need any more, to be honest with you. And in fact, we could do with less. You know, that's one thing that I could agree with Trump, and I'm not a Trump supporter per se. I'm also not a Hillary supporter per se. I don't really get into politics because it aggravates the hell out of me. But one thing I could agree with on the Trump administration is for every new regulation that they pass, or for every new regulation that they pass, repeal too. You know, that's something that I can agree with. I think that we should be looking at some of these older regulations and saying, is this still valid? Is this still doing what it was intended to do? And if not, repeal that shit. No, I'm not Canadian. Because society, everyone are becoming wimps and look to them to baby them. That's true too. Truckers, that's not quite the case, but there are some. Because trucking is such a diverse community. You have all walks of life in this. You have idiots and you got smart people. You got all different races, you got all different creeds, religions, political beliefs, etc. in the trucking industry. That's why it should not be this difficult for truck drivers to come together and agree on certain things. Let's ignore the drama, ignore the stuff that we disagree on, for at least until we get something passed that can benefit everybody, even the mega carriers. Okay? Because even the mega carriers would benefit in a change of the hours of service. They would have to do less repowers, right? Less driver fatigue, less accidents, you know, stuff like that. And it's not the e-log that is to blame here. It's the fact that they are running legally and the hours of service suck. Okay? That's the issue. And even then, I don't see the current hours of service completely to blame for accidents or driver fatigue, etc. It comes down to you as a professional driver. Okay? You have to be responsible. If you don't know when you're tired, you should not be driving a truck. Period. You shouldn't be doing anything with heavy equipment if you can't figure out your own body and realize, hey, I'm tired, I should park. And notify your dispatcher, hey, I can't drive anymore today. I'm falling asleep at the wheel. I'm parking and I'm going to bed. They legally cannot force you to drive that truck if you are fatigued. If they are trying to coerce you, call the DOT. Call state police up there, say, hey, my company's wanting me to drive and I'm tired. I'm trying to go to bed. They keep harassing me. Document this stuff, guys. You have to protect your CDL. You have to protect yourself from predatory dispatchers and stuff like that, because they do exist. All right? We don't have issues with that here, but other companies, it does happen. And the problem with paper logs is because they can be pencil whipped, dispatchers are more prone to coerce you to do things that you shouldn't do. And you're going to feel guilty A lot of drivers will feel guilty if they don't cheat and get that load delivered, and they may even be in fear of losing their job. So there's more issues to this than just, oh, let's ban the ELD. Now that the ELD is here, now that we have the mandate, it's going to allow different issues to come up and be addressed, finally. So in a sense, even though I don't agree with the government forcing people to purchase things that they don't want to buy, in a certain sense, there's a silver lining to this, where some of these trucking regulations and other things that are going on in the industry will be able to be brought to light because people won't be on paper logs anymore. All right, so we have to address the real issues, and the ELD is not the real issue anymore. That fight has passed at the moment. Now, we still need to be active in trying to pass this HB 3282, this House bill. But like I said at the beginning of this video, it's going to take some time before that House bill becomes something that is even valid. It's not going to happen this year, guys. It might happen next year. It might happen the year after that. But it's not going to happen in 2 months. Okay? That's not how government never works that quickly. Yes, shippers and receivers will be exposed. Look, I'm sitting here right now, and I talked to the people in the office here at this shipper, and it's not necessarily this shipping office's fault. Okay, you've got higher ups in these shipping companies where they ordered 80 trucks here today. They ordered 80 trucks here today, and they have 4 working forklifts. It takes 2 hours to load 1 truck, and they have 4 forklifts that are operational here. And they have 80 trucks to load today. Do the math. Somebody higher up in the office here did not do the math. And this is why we have problems. Okay? So I'm going to be sitting here probably till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll get my 8-hour break in. And then I have to go deliver this load. It's supposed to be in Bowling Green, Kentucky tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So this is not an E-log issue right now I'm having. My E-log is fine. My hours of service are fine. The issue is with this shipper, they ordered 80 trucks for today. They have 4 working forklifts. They've got like 6 or 7 loaders, but only 4 forklifts. So they can't even load the 80 trucks if they wanted to. They're working as fast as they can. They're working as safely and they're doing the best job they can as a shipping department. But the sales department was not in communication properly with the shipping department, didn't realize, and also did not communicate with the maintenance department that, hey, we only got 4 operational forklifts right now. So you got all these trucks sitting here, all right? You got all these trucks. These are all trucks waiting to be loaded, guys. And they've got 4 docks that they're working from because they only have 4 forklifts. So they're only using 4 docks. So you've got all these trucks waiting to be loaded, plus the ones behind me, plus myself, plus these 2 here, plus this guy coming in right now. You got all these trucks waiting to be loaded, and this is a common problem. This isn't a once in a lifetime thing I'm talking about that's happening right now. And I'm not complaining about it. This is trucking. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to sit here and I'm still going to make money, right? Because we're going to bill them for detention pay. That's how we're going to pay those salaries to our drivers when they're sitting in the dock like this. That's how we're not going to go belly up, is because as soon as 2 hours has passed, we start charging detention pay. And they're going to pay it because they screwed up. And I'm not going to name the shipper or say what company it is. Some of you may recognize the facility based on where I am, etc. But, I'm not here to bash this specific company. I'm just trying to make a point of, this is why we have issues, and this is why drivers disagree with the hours of service. Is because we end up with situations like this, where we're sitting at a dock, or we're not even in the dock. We're waiting for a door for hours and hours and hours. And then we have to go find a place to park, or we have to park here. Like, say I get loaded in 3 hours from now, and then my clock is all screwed up. I'm supposed to go deliver this at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now I can't do that. Now the appointment time has to get pushed back, etc., etc. So let's address the real issues in the industry. That's what these protests should be about, is let's try to figure out, and I'm not really wanting any new regulations, but let's try to figure out what can the FMCSA or what can other regulatory agencies do about situations like this. Can we change something with detention pay where they have to pay right away? Like if they know that they're going to be backed up like this, certain kinds of fines, and this is between carrier agreements and stuff like that, but you know, it's ridiculous, and this happens all over the country. It's probably happening at a dozen other warehouses right now across the country. All right, we're all sitting here, we got to wait, and this is exactly why, and I'm not trying to plug the company, but I'm just saying this is exactly why we put DirecTV in the trucks, because I'm going to be sitting here for a while. So what am I going to do? I'm going to play around on Facebook, I'm going to talk to you guys on video, and I'm going to watch TV because I have nothing else to do right now. I want to drive. I want to run my log out for today. I want to get some miles in and make some money. But I can't. I'm empty right now, and the only way I'm going to get loaded is when these people load me. Now, I may have the other an option. I could send a message to dispatch and say, hey, this load is going to take like 8 hours for them to get to me. Let's find something else. I could do that, but that's okay. We'll just bill them detention. We'll just bill them detention, and we'll collect that in a couple weeks, and whatever. It'll all be gravy. But, yeah, we get 80%. No, I'm an owner-op. This is my truck, and I have one other truck here. I'm actually going to be putting a company driver in this truck. But, so, I'm on 80%. Prime Freight, we get 80%. And the Carlisle, we get 85%. Do I pick loads? No, we have a dedicated dispatcher here. Anyway, you know, so these are the issues that I'm concerned with. Not necessarily protesting the ELD itself. There's nothing to fear about the technology itself. It's just a computer, guys. Really, it's a computer that connects to the ECM in the truck to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. The real problem comes with the hours of service. The 14-hour rule, which is not even a 14-hour rule anymore, because the problem is with the 30-minute break, right? Since we have a mandatory 30-minute break, if you did 8 hours of driving, you have to stop for 30 minutes. Now, you only get 13.5 hours to work in a day because you have to take a 30-minute break. You just lost 30 minutes every day. So, if we're going to keep this mandatory 30-minute break, our 14-hour clock should change to a minimum of 14.5 or 15 hours. All right, our on-duty clock that keeps ticking, the bare minimum change to a 14.5 or a 15-hour clock? Because we just lost 30 minutes. So now we have to take this mandatory break, right? So after you take your mandatory break, now you're in a rush because your clock is matching up with your drive clock. All right? Now you're like, crap. You know, you barely have time to use the restroom, get some food, take a shower, take a nap if you need to take a nap. You have no time to do any of those things. You have no time to actually get out and stretch and relax a little bit. You know, because we're driving long periods. We're driving 500, 600, 700 miles a day, maybe even 800 miles a day. Physically speaking, we should be getting out of the truck every few hours, doing some stretches, push-ups, etc., whatever you can do to be healthy, just normally healthy. Because we sit on our ass all day long. It's not healthy. That's why truck drivers have an average lifespan of like 62 years. All right, so the hours of service are blaming there now, because you could say, oh yeah, well, you could choose to stop at any time and take a break, but now you might not be on time for your delivery. So Alaska hours of service are pretty good. I looked into it a little bit. I looked at the Australian hours of service. I looked at the Mexican hours of service. I looked at the Canadian hours of service, and I've looked at the European Union hours of service. And by far, The Canadian hours of service are the best deal going on right now across the board for trucking worldwide. As far as I can tell, those are the main industrial countries and regions that have trucking, that have hours of service regulations. All right, I'm sure there's some country somewhere that has a better deal, but as far as in what we deal with, at least in North America, including Mexico, Canada has the best hours of service rules. And I'm saying, hey, let's just straight up adopt the Canadian hours of service. You get a 13-hour drive clock, you get your 14-hour on-duty clock, which you can pause, and you have a 16-hour shift clock, which is the clock that doesn't stop. So you actually have a 16-hour clock. As soon as you start your pre-trip or you start driving for the day, you have a 16-hour shift hour clock that starts ticking. So that gives you the extra time you need to take a nap, a 2-hour nap if you need to avoid traffic. Stop and get something good to eat. Stop and take a shower. Stop and do some laundry, etc. Things that are the necessities of life that you need to do. On a 14-hour schedule, you can't do hardly any of those things. You just can't. Especially on e-log. Now, the guys on paper log are already running a 16-hour clock. They're just not going to tell you that. They're just going to pencil whip it because anybody can make a logbook look legal and say, I'm running legally. Yeah, it looks like you're running legally, but you're not. It's actually, so it's not the ELD's fault. The hours of service are the way they are. But it's up to us to voice our concerns, voice our opinions. So share this video out and, contact your representatives. Let them know, hey, the hours of service are the real problem. The ELD mandate's in. We will try to fight that so that we don't have to be forced to purchase this. We know that's going to take some time. Will you co-sponsor House Bill 3282? Get them to co-sponsor that bill and then say, hey, but we have the real problem here is with the hours of service. Don't ignore the hours of service problem, guys. Don't be so dead set focused on, I ain't running no ELD, that you miss the point, which is, let's fix the hours of service. If we're all going to have to be on this e-log thing anyway, we need to stick together and figure out, hey, let's fix the hours of service. So, me personally, my opinion, and feel free to disagree with anything I've said. It's your right to do that. Don't get mad at me, though. This is just my opinion. Just one trucker's opinion. But if you do agree with it, feel free to share the video, etc. But my opinion, the Canadian hours of service work well. It's efficient. There's no mandatory break. There's no crazy stuff. It's HB 3282, I believe. You guys can Google that too. ELD mandate resolution. It should come up if I got the number wrong for some reason. Because this is just off the top of my head. I'm using my phone to talk to you. So, but there is a House bill that's out there, and they need more representatives to co-sponsor. At this point in time, I kind of prefer Canadian trucking. Of course, when winter comes in full swing, I might change my mind, but I like driving up there, one, because of the hours of service. It's less stressful, all right? They don't have the mandatory 30-minute break rule, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure out where am I going to stop for my 30-minute break, because up there really isn't that many places to stop anyways. So trying to figure out where you're going to park for a 30-minute break would be ridiculous up there. And it's actually easier to find a place to park up there in a sense, because they have all these little pullouts and rest areas and stuff like that. And Canadians are a very trucking friendly country across the board, but so you can park at a lot of different places, but there's also not quite as many trucks running up there. Now down in the States, this mandatory 30-minute break creates issues, a lot of issues. Now, I'm not saying that drivers shouldn't take a break. You definitely should take a break throughout the day, like I just said, to stretch, do some push-ups, get your blood flowing, be healthier, etc. But you should be, making it a mandatory 30 minutes is like you're taking away from my on-duty time, because I have to be, even though I'm off duty during that 30-minute break, the 14-hour clock keeps ticking. That takes 30 minutes away from me every day that I can't actually work. If I'm resting during that 30 minutes, why is my work clock going down? I'm resting so that I can work more, so I can finish my day, right? That's the point of the 30-minute break. So if I'm resting so I can finish the rest of my 14-hour shift, why are you taking the 30 minutes away from me? You should add 30 minutes to the 14 at the bare minimum. I think the 14-hour rule should be deleted completely. But, you know, that's just the way it is. How do you get detention owed to you when brokers try and weasel out paying? That's something that you have to work out before you accept the load. Okay? Detention pay, when you're dealing with a broker, you have to make sure that your detention pay is set in your rate confirmation. In the contract that you sign with the broker, before you accept it, before you sign it, you want to make sure that you have your detention pay, layover pay, pallets, lumper fees. You want to make sure you have all that stuff in your rate confirmation. Your carrier packet. When you send your carrier packet, you have a list of things that you say, this is what our terms of how we're going to haul your freight. These are the charges we will charge you if this, and this happens. Okay? You want to make sure you're covered for claims, lumpers, pallets, etc., etc. There's a lot of different things you want to make sure you're covered for, and that's something you have to do before you take the load. If you don't work an agreement for lumper fees and all these other things before you sign your rate confirmation, you're screwed. You're not getting nothing. Okay, so unless it's in writing, you're not going to get it when it comes to brokers. Just remember that. All right, so make sure you get it in writing. Don't need 70 rule at all. Here's the thing. I'm like Chris will tell me, he's like, I'm still trying to figure out where that 8th day is. There's only 7 days in a week. I heard they arrest you if you violate your hours of service in Canada. Is this true? I do not know. I don't know if that's true or not. I assume it would depend. I'm sure somebody has been arrested at some point, but it depends on what the violation is. If you've been driving for 28 hours straight, yeah, you're probably going to jail. Right? That would make sense. But if you just went like 5 minutes over your log or something, I don't see them arresting you for that. They might put you out of service for 10 hours. So you get, they make sure you take a 10-hour break. And then if you violate that 10 hours out of the service, then yeah, you're going to jail. What's the requirements to drive for you? Pretty much 3-year CDL, clean MVR. There are some exceptions. It depends. Yeah, pretty much 3-year CDL. Experience can vary. It can be OTR or local or regional. We accept different levels of experience and stuff like that. So clean MVR, 3-year CDL, good work ethic, those kinds of things, integrity, honesty. No reset would work better. There's the thing, you don't have to take a reset. That's not mandatory. Except for in Canada, they have in Canada they have cycle hours. So in 14 days, I think you can work 100 something hours. I had the clocks here. Let me see. It says, and see, the e-log does all this for you. So this is something that's good. This is something that's good about the e-log. So if I cross the border and I want to go into Canada, it knows how many hours I have in Canada because the rules are different, right? All I do is just set region, and I can change the region that I'm driving in, and it'll automatically adjust to their hours of service. So, you've got your drive time, you got your available drive time. All right. Then you've got your on-duty clock. You've got your weekly hours, which is your 70. Then you've got your shift hours. Okay. See, look. This is the shift clock that I was talking about, shift hours. In the United States, we don't have a shift clock. We just have the 14-hour clock. Shift clock, you get 16 hours. And in Canada North, you get 18. That's like Yukon, Northwest Territories, etc. But in the main body of Canada, you get 16 hours to work. Once you start your clock, you have 16 hours to do everything you need to do for the day, including off-duty time. So you got 14 hours off-duty and 2 hours flexible. You can do whatever else you want with, all right? So, and then, the day off time, that's something I still haven't quite figured out. I don't know what that means exactly, but that's not really a big deal. But depending on which cycle you're in, it'll, tell you how many hours you got. And it'll tell you when you run out. But the e-log figures that all out for you. So for me, that's a time saver, right? I don't have to sit there with a logbook for 15 minutes try to figure, okay, I just crossed the border. How many freaking hours do I have? Get the calculator out and make a mistake and then get busted because I made a stupid mistake. Okay, so the ELD is actually something I like, especially doing border crossings, because it's that simple. You hit border, yep, record a border crossing, then you change your region, and it automatically has all your hours of service set up for you the way it should be. All right, you don't have to pencil whip anything or try to figure it out with a calculator and whatever else you got to do. All right, doing border crossings and switching back and forth between different hours of service on paper logs would be a huge pain in the ass. Not saying it can't be done, but it's a pain in the ass. And the ELD does something with that is a time saver, and it's a paperwork saver as well. So it's not necessarily the ELD that's the problem for me. Do I agree with the mandate? No, but it's already in the law. It's the law now. So as a business owner, we have to comply with the law. We don't have to agree with the law, but we still have to comply with it so we can stay in business. Are RSTs company trucks all leased through Quality? No. Pencil whipping contributes to driver fatigue. Absolutely. ELD should be a choice. I agree. It should be a choice. The problem is, it's not. It's no longer a choice. We should have stepped up a long time ago and done what the protesters are doing now. But it didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen is because a lot of truck drivers just said, oh, they'll never pass that mandate. I gotta work. I ain't got time for all that. I gotta work. I ain't got time to protest. Well, it's kind of late now to protest the ELD mandate because it's already passed. You're 2 months away from it being implemented. The government doesn't work that fast. You don't go to DC and say, make a bunch of demands and shit happens like that. It's gonna take 6, 7, 8 months, maybe even 18 months before anything happens, and we have to be consistent and consistently going to DC, consistently calling your representatives, consistently getting the media involved to show the public what we're trying to do in order for something to change. You have to get a whole lot of media hype and people behind you to get something to change. Otherwise, the government's not going to think it's that big of a deal. If you got just a handful of drivers bitching and moaning, and that's all they see is a handful of drivers, they're going to think, well, the majority must be okay with it because all we got is like 40 guys down here bitching about this. Now, the protest in Bakersfield today was awesome. I like to see that. The Sikh community came out and very, very large protests, and it was a good, peaceful protest. They had public speakers there. They had drivers speaking, just like I'm speaking right now. Okay, voicing their concerns about the hours of service, the LD, the House bill that's currently needing more co-sponsors. All that stuff was being said at the Bakersfield protest today, and big thumbs up to everybody that was there, and the Sikh community for doing things well organized, proper, and professional. Okay, now on the other hand, the protests in Washington D.C. right now, I just shake my head. Lots of unprofessional behavior, yelling, screaming, obscenities, just very unprofessional. It's just a handful of unorganized drivers driving around, honking their horns, making a big stink, and portraying the trucking industry in a negative way. We don't need any more negative press. in the trucking industry. We need professionalism, we need positivity, and we need people to stop running off their mouth and saying stupid crap and causing all this drama. That's all I've seen from the guys that went to DC, pretty much. Now, maybe it'll get better throughout the week now that they've calmed down a little bit. But yeah, the Punjabi guys, the Sikhs, all those guys did an amazing job in Bakersfield today. I watched Jessica Rose's video. Shout out to Jessica for being there. She's the Trucker District ambassador. She was there. She filmed it, and hopefully Trucker District will take some of that video, re-edit it, and put it out on the Trucker District Facebook page for you guys to see. But her Facebook that video is public on Facebook, so if you know Jessica, you can see the video. It was a very large crowd there today in Bakersfield. That actually made me feel good to see that many drivers coming together and for one thing. That's what we need. If we really want to change things, that's what we need. We don't need all this bickering and fighting and trying to decide who the best leader is and who's got the best looking truck and who's got the biggest balls and all that kind of crap. All that stuff is pointless. It doesn't matter what kind of truck you drive. It doesn't matter if you're an owner-operator. It doesn't matter if you're a company driver. We're all in this together. We all have to abide by the same rules. And if you think it doesn't apply to you, then you should not be the person trying to represent the entire trucking industry. You just shouldn't. The people that don't want to lead are the ones who should lead, and vice versa. You got a bunch of chiefs, too many chiefs, not enough Indians, with the stuff that's going on in DC. The stuff that went on in Bakersfield, California was a perfect example of what we need more of. And that's pretty much my thoughts on that today. If you guys have any other questions for me, feel free to chime in. If you're catching this on the replay, feel free to leave your opinion below. This is a discussion. It's an open discussion. It's not one-sided. All right? Feel free to leave your opinions in the comment box below. And, that's as long as you're not a condescending asshole, I'll thumbs up your stuff, right? Because even if I disagree with you, you have the right to have your opinion. And I like to see what other people's opinions are, because I like to learn and see, okay, maybe there's a different way of looking at this. Maybe there's a better way of looking at this. I don't have all the answers, and anybody that says they do is full of crap. All right, so just remember that. So with that being said, I'm gonna scroll through the comments here real quick. How many trucks do you have in your fleet right now, too? Great live feed. Appreciate that, Ray. What's going on, Capazone? When pulling Prime or Carlisle trailers, how hard is it to get repairs on the road? It's not very difficult at all. Carlisle is a little more difficult than Prime. But so I'll explain the Carlisle stuff. Basically, if something happens to the trailer, we get a hold of the guys at Carlisle, say, hey, we lost a tire, the brakes locked up, etc., etc., whatever happened to the trailer, we tell them what's going on, and they orchestrate getting somebody out there to repair it or whatnot. With Prime, we have, I'll show you guys what we have running Prime Logistics, because we have their macros in the computer. So, in our computer system, I'm going to turn the camera around here. In our whoops, almost dropped my vape thing. In our computer system, we have macros. You can compose a message, and you can send a message to Road Assist. And yes, they typed it wrong. It's supposed to say assist. It says ass it. But Road Assist, you can do a message to Road Assist, okay? And then you put in the equipment that's having a problem, and then you let them know what's going on, and they usually get back with you within 5 to 10 minutes. If you're on the side of the road, you got to put all the information as far as what tires blown out, and with their phone app, you can send pictures and all that kind of stuff. So it's not very difficult at all. We're not out here on our own. So if you're pulling a Prime trailer for us, you have that on the e-log system. You can send a message directly to Road Assist, and they'll get somebody out to you. And it might be a few hours sometimes before somebody can get out to you, but that's the shop's fault, not Road Assist's fault. So, and that's just part of trucking. How many trucks? Who's a good ELD provider for owner ops not in the network? Omnitrax, IVG. I'm not sponsored by any e-log companies, so don't think that I am. This is not a promotional thing. Omnitrax IVG is what we're going to be using. It seems like a really good system. Little guy just did a video on installing that in his truck. So if you want to see more about the Omnitrax IVG, I'm going to be putting them in this truck and the other truck I have. And little guy just put one in his truck, as well as Rob did too. So you can ask him questions about that on his video, and he should be able to get an answer for you. But there's tons of apps. Now, when it comes to ELD compliance, because we got to get compliant now, despite what happens with House Bill 3282, it's going to be some time before that takes place. We have to be compliant by December 18th, right? So if you want to make sure that your ELD device is compliant, go to the FMCSA's website. Okay, they have a list of registered ELDs that are in compliance with the law. All right, if you get an ELD that is not registered and is not in compliance with the law, you're going to have issues if you get inspected after December 18th. You will have issues. Okay, so there's more trucks coming in here. Man, this is a madhouse. But so there's a list out there on the FMCSA website. I posted a link on Facebook before talking about that. It's important that you understand there are ELD devices and companies claiming to be ELD compliant when they are not registered with the FMCSA and they're not compliant. So make sure whatever device you purchase before you spend your hard-earned money, that it is compliant with the law. All right, so to find that, you can go to Google and type in ELD registry. All right, and it should be in the list of results that come up. Does RST run for Prime? Prime Logistics is one of our customers. We pull their trailers and their freight, and we use their logging systems and stuff like that. Okay, we get to use their fuel network and lots of other things. This guy's about to hit the fence. My air horn's not working. Jesus, man. Anyway, I gotta get going here anyway, I guess. Let's see if I help this guy back up. He's about to hit the fence. What about leasing to RST? Yes, you can do that. If you're an owner-op and you're interested in bringing your truck here, please go to rstriverside.com. Hit the menu, go to owner-operators, and you'll see all the information you need to know about the owner-operator division of RST. Yes, you can bring a truck here. There are certain requirements for the equipment, and that is all listed on the website. Let's see. How about routing? Does RST route themselves or follow a routing program? You can route yourself pretty much however legal route that you can find. We let the drivers route. You know, you're the professional driver. You got to figure out your route, right? Now, within the macros that we have, we can get fuel recommendations and routing, okay? And it's not turn-by-turn navigation. It tells you the highway number and how many miles you're going to be on it. Old school stuff, right? And it also tells you your fuel stops. So we use that macro. It's macro 27. It's suggested fuel. And you can also get suggested routes in between stops and stuff like that. How fast is my truck? This truck does 75. And the other one will do 95. But this one does 75. Glad to be a subscriber. Always great content and information. Keep up the great videos. Appreciate that, Scotty. I've been watching for a while now, but I have never subscribed. I just did great content. Thanks, man. Much appreciated. System in the U.S. don't allow you to stop and have a rest once your clock has started. Here's the thing. You can stop and rest anytime you want. You're just going to lose time on your 14-hour clock. But you know, the ELD, there's a lot of myths and fear-mongering out there, guys. Don't be afraid of this thing. If in any case, it's just the hours of service that are the problem. The ELD itself can't make you do anything. Your truck isn't going to shut off because of the ELD. Your truck isn't going to start because of the ELD. you are responsible as a professional driver to know when you're fatigued, know when you need to stop, know when you need to rest, etc., etc. And if you can't go on, if you can't keep driving because you're fatigued, you need to communicate that with dispatch in your company and say, hey, I'm fatigued, I'm not driving anymore today, this load's going to be late. Because no load is worth your life. Now, if you weren't sleeping because you were watching TV all night, that's on you. You might get fired, right? So that comes down to performance, though. That's a completely different subject, and my battery's getting low here. But and we've been doing this video for a while. If you have an older truck, then you can't. No. RST requirement to bring a truck, it has to be a 2013 or newer. That is because our customers want reliable equipment that isn't going to break down every 2 minutes, doesn't need to be wrenched on every night, stuff like that. And it also has to do partly with our insurance requirements as well. So, and pulling primes freight, they need trucks that are newer, okay? So, I don't personally have anything against older trucks, but that's just the way things are set up. Let's see. My battery is getting low. So you can't lease the 379. It depends on what year it is. If it's a 2013 or newer, and it meets the weight requirements, if it's less than 20,000 pounds, 250-inch wheelbase, and a 2013 or newer, yeah, you can bring it over here. Now, as an owner-operator, that's up to you. If you want to drive that, that's up to you. Me personally, I wouldn't drive it because of the fuel costs, but that's just me. You can drive whatever you want, though, as long as it meets those requirements. We've got T680s, we've got Lone Stars, we have Pro Stars, we have Cascadias. I don't think we have any Peterbilts right now. But we got Kenworths, we've got Internationals, and Freightliners. So, you know, as long as it meets those requirements, you can bring it over here. How hard is it to get 6 lease trucks out once and get employees to stick in them? It's pretty difficult. The hardest part about getting a driver is making sure that they really want the job. I've had a lot of applications to drive this truck. I've had a lot of people tell me, yeah, I want to work for you. Yes, I want to drive for you. They fill out the application. They even get as close as about to take a drug test, and then they back out. They decide they don't want to do it. Or they say, great, I'd give them a phone interview, give them a phone call. This takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and energy to do all this stuff as an owner. But I do it anyway, okay? That's the hustle. So, I'll answer those questions in a second. Let me finish my point here. You know, yes, they do have a lease program now. For more information on the lease program, please call the number on the website. Chris has been pretty swamped lately, though, so please wait until tomorrow to call that number, because it's late in the day now. So wait until tomorrow to make some phone calls and stuff like that. Feel free to send a message to the Facebook page, etc. But yes, there is a lease program now. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, guys. Do you have an email where I can ask you more questions? You can send me messages on Facebook Messenger. You can send me messages on Twitter. Those are the 2 places that I let people send me messages, pictures, whatever you need to send me. Okay? Facebook Messenger and Twitter DM. Alright? So, and my Twitter is @WoodyTheBigDeal. And my Facebook is Justin Wood. In parentheses, it says Woody. Or you can go to Facebook and you can search Woody the Trucker page, and my other page will come up. Alright? I answer those messages pretty quickly. As soon as I can, I get to those. So if you have private stuff you want to talk about, feel free to send me a message there. I might not get to it tonight, but I usually get to those messages as soon as I possibly can. Let's see here. What do you think about self-driving trucks? I'm not worried about them. I think it's cool. Like, I'm all for new technology. I'm kind of a nerd. I like technology. Do you have CB radios in your fleet? Yes. I put a CB radio in this truck. So, we've got CB radios. Alright. What about email? Email. I don't like giving out my email address, but the email address for RST, I put it out before. I usually put it in the description, so you can check the description later once I'm done with this video, and you can see the email addresses. I'll copy and paste it in there. It's rstriverside@gmail.com. If you go through the entire website, which I recommend you do first, check out the website, rstriverside.com. If you have not found the information that answers your question, then send an email, okay? Because Stacy has to respond to all those emails, and it's a lot of work, okay? We don't have a whole huge office staff to, respond to thousands of inquiries. So please respect that and check the website out. And if you still have a question after that, you can contact me. And if I don't have the answer, you can send an email, all right? With that being said, I lost my train of thought on what I was talking about earlier. I apologize. Yeah, it's gone. So I'm going to go. I got to make some Facebook posts and stuff and things like that. But I appreciate you guys for watching tonight and giving all the thumbs up and the shares and everything like that. The new subscribers, thank you. If I've got a lot of videos on this channel. I think there's almost 200 videos or more on this channel now. So check out the playlists. There may be something in there that's useful to you as far as truck maintenance, trucking info, starting your own business, doing a lease purchase. I got lots of other videos on this channel, so if there's something I didn't get to answer for you tonight, feel free to check out those playlists and other videos. Some of it might be older information, but you can watch that, and if you still have questions, you can come back and leave a comment or send me a message. So with that being said, you guys stay safe out there. I will see you in the next video, and try not to die.